It is time for me to address something that I feel has been going on for far too long. Now, as you all know, the 4KO has been uploading videos on this platform since 2021. However, I've had a YouTube presence since 2012. That's right, when that very first Man of Steel teaser dropped, I became a part of the YouTube community. Why? Because I wanted to gravitate towards those who had the same interests as I. Now, you fast forward to 2025, and I'm a full-blown YouTuber. That's right. More people hear my opinion about the geek culture space than ever before. My family members, they didn't want to hear nothing about that. My friends, they didn't want to hear nothing about that. People at school, they didn't want to talk about it. But I feel that I found that back in 2012. YouTube was such an inspiration to me. However, I noticed that there were a shadow over the fan base back then. The moment that Man of Steel released, it became evident that the geek space can be toxic. If you think about it like this, General Zod, his neck was broke, right? And we're in 2025, and people are still talking about that. That's right. People were not on board with what Zack Snyder was doing with the DC characters. In fact, they are celebrating James Gunn's DC universe because it isn't Zack Snyder's DC universe. Now, the problem I see with that is, how is it that back then, and all the way up till James Gunn announced his reboot, how is it that you were able to express how you felt about something and how much that you didn't like it, but the moment that others does the same, it's a problem? Why? That doesn't make any sense to me. I'm trying to figure out, how is it that people feels that their opinion is more valid than mine's or even yours? In fact, in today's geek culture, when it comes to certain things, you're not allowed to even have an opinion. You can't say that this looks ugly. You can't say that this looks childish without someone attacking you. Make it make sense. However, that same person will be the same one on another channel dogging the old DC universe, straight dragging it through the mud, Zack Snyder's name and all. I don't get this. How is it that you were unable to show up for that of Man of Steel, that of Suicide Squad, that of Justice League, and suddenly people who are saying wallets closed and boycott is in the wrong? How is that? How are you allowed to feel that way? Back in 2013, 2016, 2017, and beyond. But the moment someone says that they're not on board with James Gunn, you label them as toxic. Make it make sense. And I had the need to make this video today because I have been seeing this a lot in my comment section. People are calling me toxic, despite me saying that James Gunn's Superman is going to make money, despite me saying that I do feel that James Gunn's Superman has some hype. When I talk about those trailer views, I say, look, they are legitimate. People tried to convince you all that they were not, but the 4KO kept it real. And I said, listen, this is good. If you go look at my thumbnail for that Superman trailer view count, the thumbnail says super results. And people still called me toxic. Make it make sense. You can't have an opinion anymore. These people feel like they're in power and they can express their feelings 100%. But the moment that you open your mouth, they have a problem with it. Despite all of them being part of an angry mob for nearly a decade. Think about that for a second. Now here it is, we're in 2025. And all of a sudden, the behavior that many people are issuing out, they're saying that it's unacceptable. They're saying that you're the problem. You should be expelled from the geek culture. But in reality, this is what you set up. You feel what I'm saying? This is what you normalized back in 2013, in 2016, in 2017. Don't get me wrong. I didn't like Josh Whedon's Justice League, but many of you didn't show up. That's right. You stayed your ass at home. You felt some type of way about Zack Snyder's direction, and you stayed home. In fact, a lot of YouTubers that I watched talked all kind of crap about the man. The man's daughter was unalived, and he took that opportunity to attack him more. Tell me, for those out there who's labeling everybody as toxic, what did you say about that? Nothing. You were silent. And here it is. You're sitting in a position where you are willing to call everybody else the problem. But in reality, you are the main cause. Make it make sense. See, when it was 2013 and that door opened up, it was never going to close. It was never going to close. Right then and there, geeks went to war. And it was all over fictional stories. Never made any sense to me. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to enjoy comic book movies. But they had all this noise online, all of these negative videos. You feel what I'm saying? All these negative conversations. And nobody said nothing. But those same people who's trying to silence you today are the same ones being loud. Make it make sense. So when it comes to anyone labeling another geek as toxic, you need to understand at some point, if not some point, at the same moment that you're expressing that, you're the same. You're no different. You should look in the mirror and understand this. When it comes to this geek space, we all can have a difference of opinion. It doesn't have to be an echo chamber. And I say that because it never was. And many of you made sure of that back in 2013 when you set that precedent.